Close your eyes, not in a command, but in an offering. Let the world fall away, slowly, like silk slipping from calloused fingers. There is no rush here, only breath and the way silence weighs when it's remembered. Imagine you were born in a time when silence was law, and being a woman was almost a secret. The air was filled with incense and judgment, and your name, irrelevant. Here, you are only you. Coming back after 7 years is like trying to wear a skin that no longer remembers you. The old wood groans beneath your feet, but it's not welcoming, it's suspicious. The floorboards have new scars you didn't leave. The scent of wet straw rises to greet you, not like a mother, but like something that expected you to stay gone. And your robes, foreign, soaked from the rain that stopped hours ago, cling to your frame like accusation. You were once a daughter of this village. Then, for 7 winters, you were a ghost. Not a whisper, not a memory, just absence. And now you return, wrapped in silence, standing at the threshold like a shadow that forgot how to move with the sun. Your feet hesitate at the doorway, but the door does not. It slides open, without protest, without ceremony, without joy. You expected more, or perhaps less. What happens when a warrior disappears for 7 winters and returns with her body intact, but her soul misaligned? This is not a homecoming. This is an aftershock. You do not cry. Crying was something left behind in the 3rd year, somewhere between blood and frost. Instead, you breathe, deep, controlled, like you were taught in the last camp before the snow fell. A woman, returning as a warrior, is not greeted with garlands. She is greeted with silence, and silence can be louder than drums. Inside, the walls are still made of rice paper and memory, thin, brittle. They do not remember your laughter, only your absence. And you do not remember how to fold yourself small again to fit into this house, this name, this body. The skin you wear now fits like armor, rusted at the joints. You survived, yes, but survival is not return. It's just another kind of exile. You sit. The floor is clean, too clean, like it has forgotten what it's like to carry the mess of living. Somewhere in the back room, someone is whispering. Not your name, because no one says it. Just the fact of you, hovering. The samurai who came back. Alone. Alive. Woman. And in the quiet, before anyone speaks, before even the kettle dares to boil, you feel it. The heaviness of not belonging to either world anymore. Not theirs. Not the one you came from. You are no longer soldier, nor stranger. Only something in between. Something that doesn't bleed anymore. And that, what frightens them the most. The floorboards creak behind you. You don't turn. You don't need to. Some instincts are carved so deep, they outlive even the soul. You are not here to fight, but everything inside you remembers how. And that is where the story truly begins.
Return is not arrival. It's the beginning of a new exile. The floor where you were born feels narrower now. You step across it and your feet hesitate, as if they expect traps instead of floorboards. The boards recognize your weight, but not your rhythm. You used to run here. You remember that, or think you do. Memory lies sometimes, especially when you need it most. The walls remember you, but you don't. They lean in with quiet familiarity, pressing in like old women, gossiping with crooked backs and heavy secrets. You run your hand along the wood. It's smoother than you remember. Or maybe your hands have changed. Maybe the calluses make everything feel too soft, too false. Your mother's face carries wrinkles you never saw arrive. Her smile is careful now, as if joy were something borrowed. She asks if you're hungry. You nod because refusing would require words, and you've forgotten how to use them gently. The rice smells the same, sticky, warm, innocent, but your stomach turns. It remembers a different kind of hunger, raw, metallic, necessary, the kind that doesn't wait for steam or blessing. You chew slowly, as if learning how to eat again, swallowing memories with every bite. You pass through the gate. No one says your name. It lingers unspoken, like a blade hung too high to reach. A dog barks. He remembers you. The people don't. His tail wags with no caution. Children stare from behind half-open doors, unsure whether to bow or hide. Their mothers call them inside without looking at you. Your presence disrupts their world. It's a ripple they didn't ask for. A woman should not carry a katana. A warrior should not return alive. And if she did, why does she no longer bleed? Their eyes ask it. Their silence confirms it. You walk among them like a ghost they never believed in. And you feel it. This isn't a homecoming. It's exile with familiar furniture. The skin you wear now is not the same. They give you silk. It slips between your fingers like memory, impossible to hold, easier to fear. You used to wear armor that clung to your ribs like a second skeleton, rough fabric that caught on your wounds and held them closed. Silk scrapes in another way. It brushes against your body like it's trying to remind you you're soft now, or should be. But softness doesn't return with cloth. It doesn't return at all. Your combat robes were burned. You burned them yourself. A small fire under snow-heavy trees. The leather didn't scream, but your hands did. Now they hand you silk robes embroidered with plum blossoms. The fabric whispers when you move, not like steel, but like shame. You miss the grip of your gauntlets, the way they bit into your wrists, the way they made you feel contained. You try to bathe, alone. The water waits in a wooden bucket, lukewarm and shallow, the kind of bath made for washing dirt, not memory. You pour it over your feet. The cold hits bone, but the filth doesn't leave. It's not mud, it's not sweat. It's the skin you grew in another life. You scrub, hard, until red blooms beneath your fingernails, until your breath catches. You don't cry, not anymore, but your silence is louder than any sob. A woman's body is treated like something delicate. They bow when they pass you in the corridor. They avert their eyes when your robe slips. They speak gently, too gently, as if your ears might shatter. But your body holds broken bones and stories with no poetry. Knees that learned to kneel only in blood. Scars like cartography. And yet, don't crouch like that, miss. Miss? You almost laugh. Almost.
3. The routine no longer fits you. The days arrive politely now. They tap gently on your window, like servants too afraid to enter. Morning has no urgency here, only repetition, predictable, padded. You wake before the sun because your body still fears ambush. but nothing comes. No horn, no scream, no rustle of armor in the dark. Just the whistle of the kettle, the shuffle of slippers, the emptiness of safety. They invite you to embroider, as if your hands still believed in softness, as if your fingers could forget what it means to kill. The fabric is smooth, the thread is fine. You try to hold the needle, but it trembles. Not from fear, from boredom, from the exhaustion of uselessness. You stab the cloth like it's flesh, but nothing bleeds. The needle pierces, and the wound is beautiful, decorative, pointless. They praise your effort. You nod, but your shoulders ache, not from work, but from restraint. You want to scream, to run, to dig your fingers into something real. But here, even silence is structured. The right kind of silence, polite, composed, beautiful like lacquered wood hiding rot. The sound of morning is not waking, it's resignation. Whistling kettles, soft voices, steps that avoid confrontation. You sit through it all, like a stone, placed where it no longer belongs. You remember mornings that began with steel drawn from sheaths. Now, they begin with bowing. The tea ceremony lasts longer than any battle. You kneel on cushions that make your back scream. You fold your hands. You bow. You breathe. You pour. You sip. You wait. And every movement is choreographed to pretend nothing inside you is dying. You hold the cup like it's sacred, but it feels like glass, fragile, foreign. You drink, slowly. Each sip tastes like swallowing your own absence, like drinking the woman they want you to become. Delicate, quiet, decorative. You've worn armor heavier than this silence, and it never hurt this much. 4. You were trained to kill, now you're trained to smile. There's a tea bowl in your hand again. You've held weapons with more warmth. The porcelain is delicate, painted with cranes mid-flight, frozen in beauty, forever escaping. You lower your eyes as they've taught you. Smile when spoken to, nod when not. Every motion is precise, curated, rehearsed. You are no longer permitted to exist freely. You must now exist beautifully. They say you're lucky, that few women return from war, that fewer return whole. You sip. The tea is bitter, not because of the leaves, but because you know what it's meant to wash away. You were once a blade, now you are the sheath. They praise your composure, your silence, your grace, as if the war rewrote your name into something worth admiring only when contained. There is stitching to be done, plum blossom patterns again. Your fingers bleed, but it's not the blood that matters, it's the stillness. You do not flinch. They say that's discipline. You know better. You are not still because you're at peace. You are still because motion invites punishment. You were trained to kill, but smiling takes more discipline than any sword form. There's a man they want you to marry. He smiles with his mouth, not with his eyes. He speaks softly, but never to you. only around you. You bow when introduced. You stay silent. They think that means you approve. Silence in this world is always misread as consent. You go to bed early now, by force, not by fatigue. There's no curfew, only expectation. You lie still beneath silk that traps your sweat. You stare at the ceiling. Your fingers twitch in dreams, searching for hilts. But there is no blade beneath the pillow, only folded air and the weight of your own obedience. By morning, you'll smile again, bow again, stitch again. They've trained you well.
5. The world moves, but your body does not. The courtyard is filled with laughter. Children run barefoot over the stones you once bled on. Their voices are light, unburdened by memory. A boy drops his toy, a carved horse, and it rolls to your feet. You pick it up slowly, hand trembling, not from effort, but from disuse. He thanks you, bows clumsily, and runs off. He does not know who you are, or what you've done. That's the strangest part. You're invisible, and yet you carry too much presence. The well still creaks when the rope tightens. You used to draw water here. Now, you watch a younger girl do it, her sleeves tied neatly above her elbows, her back straight with youth. She sees you and lowers her gaze, not out of respect, but out of confusion. You do not fit the stories they've heard. You are neither the wife they expect, nor the monster they were warned about. Your muscles ache, not from use, but from denial. You haven't trained in weeks, months maybe. You've lost count. Your body grows softer, heavier, like it's forgetting the language of tension. You try to stretch in private, late at night, behind closed doors. But your joints crack like old branches, and the floor groans in protest. Sometimes, you trace the scars on your thigh and wonder which enemy left them. You've forgotten faces, but your flesh remembers angles, weight, force. It remembers falling. It remembers what it cost to stand again. At meals, you sit properly, knees tucked, spine rigid, fingers poised. You chew in silence, taste nothing. You are praised for being demure, for being obedient, as if stillness were your nature, not your prison. The world moves around you, but you remain exactly where the war left you, still, waiting for orders that will never come. 6. You sleep like a soldier, but dream like a child. The mat beneath you is too soft. That's the first thing your body complains about. Your back searches instinctively for uneven earth, for the slope of a ditch, or the cold of compact snow. Here, in the quiet of your old room, everything is too even, too still, too forgiving. Sleep comes, but not gently. You don't lie down, not at first. You sit with your back against the wall, knees tucked up, swordless but alert, just in case. The paper walls hum with the wind, thin as breath. You listen for footsteps that never come, for screams that aren't yours this time. Your hand rests where the hilt used to be. Old habits survive exile. When you do sleep, it's shallow, like a coin skipping across water. Dreams come in sudden flashes, never full stories. A blood-soaked sash, a laugh cut short, the weight of your own breath inside a helmet, and always, always, the silence that followed the kill. That silence follows you even here, into this house that calls itself safe. You wake too early, not because you must, but because you always did. Your eyes open before the sky softens. The pale blue of dawn leaks through the shoji, painting your face with light too tender for what you've seen. You don't rise right away. You stare at the ceiling.
The same ceiling you memorized as a girl, before your first blood, before your first wound, before your first lie. In those days, you dreamed of becoming something large, something sharp. You didn't yet know what the world did to women who dared take up space. Now, you dream only of silence, of meals that don't end in ash, of footsteps that mean arrival, not threat. There are no lullabies for women like you, only long nights, and the occasional mercy of forgetting where you are.
7. The routine no longer fits you. Morning arrives with a quiet stubbornness, the kind of persistence that refuses to soften the edges of your exile. You're invited to embroider. The task is simple, the gesture expected. A needle in hand, threading through silk, creating delicate patterns that speak of peace and patience. But your hands tremble, not from fear, but from a deeper exhaustion, a weariness born of knowing this ritual is a fragile cage. The needle pierces the fabric like a blade through flesh, precise, deliberate, but utterly without purpose. Your fingers clutch the silk, yet your mind drifts to the rhythm of sword strikes long past, to the weight of armor pressing down, to the clash of battle cries. Embroidery is a language you no longer speak, a dance your body refuses to learn again. Outside, the sound of morning is collective resignation. Kettles whistle softly, their steam rising like faint prayers. Voices murmur polite greetings that float and fade, hollow and rehearsed. The silence between words suffocates more than any shout could. There is no anger here, only a tired acceptance of roles, boundaries, and unspoken truths. No screaming. You almost miss it. The battlefield's chaos, brutal as it was at least honest. Here, the quiet is a weight heavier than any sword. The tea ceremony lasts longer than any battle you ever fought. You kneel with the others, hold the cup as if it were fragile enough to shatter the world. Each sip tastes like swallowing your own absence, bitter and thin. You pretend to be delicate, to be fragile, to be the woman they expect. But beneath the silk, beneath the practiced smile, your body remembers the cold steel, the grinding earth, the raw edge of survival. In this stillness, you are a ghost rehearsing a role written for someone else. And every silent moment reminds you this routine no longer fits you. 8. The woman you were died in the second winter. Sleep no longer comes easily. You lie on a mattress softer than the dirt where you once rested, but rest remains elusive. Your body, forged in war and tempered by hardship, has forgotten how to trust peace. Every creak of the house, every distant murmur sends a spike of alertness through your nerves. Your ears still wait for the next attack, though none comes. The silence is both a balm and a torment. You try to pray. The altar stands before you, immaculate and cold, a stark contrast to the chaos inside your chest. The Buddha's gaze is blank, eyes hollow and unseeing, yet somehow heavy with judgment. You do not pray out of faith, faith abandoned long ago.
but out of fear. Fear of the silence, of the stillness that follows the storm. Fear of what waits in the dark when no one else is watching. Nights stretch long and heavy. They feel endless, but not longer than the nights you endured elsewhere. There, the cold was visible, bitter winds cutting through tattered armor, snow settling into your hair, frost biting through your skin. Here, the cold is invisible, nested deep inside you, a slow erosion of warmth and hope. There, you bled openly, raw and exposed. Here, you rot quietly, your wounds hidden beneath layers of forced civility. The woman you were died in the second winter. Her body survived, but her spirit fractured. What remains is a hollow echo of strength, silent, resigned, and painfully aware of the price of survival.
9. The past walks beside you, even unarmed. You hear footsteps behind you, soft, uneven, like the ghost of a time that no longer exists, an echo only you recognize. It lingers in the quiet moments when the world feels paused and the weight of what you've left behind presses heavily on your chest. Maybe it's memory, or maybe it's guilt, dragging itself after you like a shadow that refuses to fade. They look at you like a legend or a curse. Whispers thread through the village like smoke in a still room. She came back alone, they ask, voices low and trembling. She's alive. No one dares to ask how. The answer is too sharp, too raw to be spoken aloud. Their fear wraps around you like a shroud, thick and suffocating. You learned long ago to stay silent before speaking. Words stumble and break beneath the weight of what your eyes have seen. Truths too harsh to bear, stories too bitter to share. Because no one would listen anyway, and because sometimes silence is the last sacred thing you have left. It is a refuge, a shield, a reminder that some battles are fought in shadows and won only in the stillness between breaths. You walk on, carrying the unspoken with you. The past is not behind you, it walks beside you, unarmed but never defeated. And you carry it quietly, as always. You survived the battlefield, but not the return. The silence that greets you at the threshold is heavier than any clash of steel, colder than the sharpest wind cutting through armor. Home is no longer home. It is a place folded in memories that no longer comfort but haunt. The tatami beneath your knees feels foreign, the air stale with forgotten prayers. Memory, once a refuge, now feels like a cage. Being a woman in feudal Japan means walking between dust and forgetting, even when you return with honor. You carry a blade that no longer cuts, but still reflects the faintest light of who you were and who you are now. A weapon dulled by time and silence, yet sacred in its quiet witness. You are no longer warrior, nor daughter, nor shadow. You are something else, something shaped by absence and presence intertwined, by stories told only in the spaces between words. And every night before sleep, you feel it. Something sacred in having returned, even if no one celebrates it, even if no one sees the battles you fight in stillness. While the world forgets, you remember, for them all, in silence, as always.